Welcome to the English Audio Club. Today, let's learn English through a story. Let's begin. I was born in France, but I lived in Germany for many years. My business in Europe was very successful, and I became wealthy. After 20 years, I decided to return to my hometown in Paris. On the way from Germany to France, I stopped in Spain for a week. I had an old friend who lived in the city of Barcelona, and I wanted to visit him. His name was Leon Marchand, and we had been friends for many years. We used to write many letters to each other, but recently I hadn't heard from him. Leon never had a job. His father gave him a small amount of money, so he never needed to work. He was a very superstitious man. He believed that luck or magic could control his life. Leon spent most of his time reading strange books, mostly about old magical beliefs. I called them magic books. As soon as I arrived in Barcelona, I sent him a message. He said, "I'm staying in Barcelona for 3 days. May I visit you?" Leon surprised me. Just 1 hour later, he sent a servant to my hotel with a letter. "Come to my house right away, my dear friend. Come this evening, you'll remember the house, I'm sure." It was my father's home. I live in the tower at one end of it. "You don't need to ring the bell or knock," Leon had written. "I'll tell the servants to go to bed, and leave the front door of the tower open. Just come upstairs immediately, I'll be waiting. Please don't be late." That evening, I took a cab to Leon's house. The weather was terrible. Cold rain poured down, and a strong wind howled through the streets. I had forgotten how chilly and wet Spain could be in winter. I only remembered the warm sun, not this stormy wind and rain. Leon's house was near the Atlantic Ocean. It was a 2-story brick building. Plain and a little gloomy, with a tall tower at one end. A garden surrounded the house, once full of trees and beautiful plants. But now it was winter, and the trees were bare and the flowers were gone. The driver stopped the cab near the tower entrance. The door was only about 5 meters away, but I still got soaked as soon as I stepped outside. I hurried to the door, turned the handle, it was unlocked, and stepped inside. Only one small lamp lit the staircase. Its weak glow filled the hall with deep shadows. I couldn't see clearly. Slowly, I climbed the stairs, keeping my fingers on the wall to guide me. At the top, I found another door. I opened it and entered a room with another dim lamp. Just then, Leon stepped forward and warmly took my hand. Leon shook my hand. He was wearing a long silk robe and soft leather slippers. His clothes were very old-fashioned and unusual. We looked at each other for a moment, and I was shocked. I hadn't seen Leon in many years, and he had changed a lot. He used to be a handsome man, but now his hair was gray and his face looked pale and tired. There were deep lines around his eyes and mouth. He looked like an old man, even though he was not yet 50. Still, his eyes were bright and full of energy, they almost glowed in the dim light of the room. "Welcome, my friend. Please sit down," he said warmly. Leon offered me some wine and a cigar. We talked a little, but the conversation felt stiff and sad. Meeting an old friend after many years can be strange. Maybe Leon could sense what I was thinking. With a quiet voice, he said in Latin, Non sum qualis eram, I am not what I used to be. I tried to lighten the mood. Your Latin hasn't improved, I joked. Leon gave a small smile. Latin is a dead language, and I am a dead man, he replied. Then, his smile faded. I will die very soon, he said seriously. I didn't know how to respond. I sat in silence, smoking my cigar, and sipping the wine. Outside, the wind had stopped. The house felt even quieter. I suddenly wanted to leave. Then, I heard a strange sound. Tap, tap, tap. It was like someone, or something, knocking. But where was it coming from? It sounded like it came from the wall of the tower itself. The sound wasn't loud or fast. It didn't sound like someone knocking on a door. It was gentle, like a quiet signal. A message. Leon had completely forgotten me. He was staring at the wall with a strange look on his face. He seemed both excited and afraid. His eyes were glowing in the dim light. I didn't know what to do. Should I leave or stay? I stood up. You look tired, I said. Maybe I should go. Can I visit you tomorrow? Leon turned and looked at me. Please stay, he said softly. There's no one there. It's nothing. He walked to a small window and opened it. I hadn't noticed that window before. Look, he said. I walked over and looked out. All I could see was the light of a street lamp and rain falling steadily. No one was outside. No one was near the wall of the tower. Please don't leave me, Leon said again. I have a story to tell you. You're the only one I can tell. Honestly, I wanted to go back to my hotel. Leon's old house and that strange sound made me nervous. I consider myself a calm and reasonable man. But in that old tower room, I felt uneasy and scared. Still, I didn't want to upset my friend. Very well, my old friend, I said. I'll stay and listen. Leon poured me another drink and handed me a fresh cigar. Then he began to speak. I didn't move into this house until my father passed away, said Leon. That was 10 years ago, when I was about 40 years old. When he died, I inherited everything, his business, his house, and his money. Before that, I lived in a large apartment block on Montaigne Hill in Geneva. Maybe you've heard of the area, he continued. It was once a fashionable place, but now it's old and neglected. The building owner rented out small rooms to many people. The walls were so thin, you could nearly poke your hand through them, Leon said, smiling faintly. I was lucky though. My rent was low, and I had a big room where no one bothered me. I could read my books in peace. I was happy there. Then one summer morning, as I was leaving the building, I saw a young woman, Leon said, his eyes distant. It was a warm day in June. She wore a white dress and a straw hat, with bright flowers and colorful ribbons wrapped around it. And then I saw her face. It's hard to describe. It was both strange and beautiful, unlike any face I'd ever seen. Without even thinking, he whispered, I lifted my hat to her. She bowed slightly and looked at me with shining brown eyes, but she didn't speak. I could tell she was happy to see me, even though she didn't smile. She stepped into the house and quietly closed the door behind her. I stood there, staring at the closed door, with full of questions. Would I ever see her again? Should I talk to her next time? Would she talk to me? Maybe you think those are the thoughts of a much younger man, Leon said with a faint smile. And maybe you're right. But those feelings were completely new to me. I had spent so many years with books, and very little time with people. I had never fallen in love before. He paused. Now, I think you're my only friend. Soon, none of this will matter. But I don't feel foolish talking to you. Leon was quiet for a moment, and lost in thought. Then he continued the story. The next day, I stayed in my apartment for hours, watching the street through the window. But the girl didn't appear. I didn't even know her name, so I couldn't ask anyone about her. That night, I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I waited again by the window. Then, suddenly, I saw her. She came out of the building, and I rushed outside. But by the time I reached the street, she had vanished. I walked through the neighborhood, and searching. Finally, I found her again. In a small quiet street. We smiled at each other. She remembered me, I was sure of it. After that day, I tried to go outside whenever she did. She always wore the same straw hat, decorated with bright flowers and colorful ribbons. She always wore that straw hat with colorful flowers around the brim. I didn't follow her, I simply walked through the neighborhood, with hoping to catch a glimpse of her again. Eventually, I went to speak to the landlady of the building. Who is the girl with the lovely face and the straw hat? I asked. She's my niece, sir, the landlady replied. She works here as a servant, her parents died some years ago. She lives with us, cooks, cleans, and buys groceries. Her room is at the top of the house, just next to yours. But she uses the other staircase. Leon turned to me with a pained expression. My friend. I wish I had never heard that, he said quietly. Her room was right next to mine. Only a thin wall separated us. Sometimes at night, I would place my hand on that wall and wonder. Was she on the other side, sleeping only inches away? I couldn't focus on my studies anymore, Leon confessed. My thoughts were only about her. I stopped reading my books about the occult. I had never been in love, never thought of marriage. I had no desire for a wife or children, only knowledge, always knowledge. But I couldn't marry a servant girl. She was poor, uneducated, and my father would never approve. All my money came from him. And if he had ever known. Well, what happened next? I asked. Leon looked at me sadly. I stopped waiting for her, he said. I stopped watching. I focused only on my books. I tried to forget her. But one hot night, he couldn't sleep. His thoughts kept racing, round and round, always returning to the girl. She was just behind that thin wall. I tapped gently, 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. Then I tapped again. Tap, tap, tap. Then I felt foolish, like a young man in love for the first time. Leon got up and tried to read. He picked up an old book on occult philosophy by necromancer. A book of magic and superstition, he said softly. It described fortune-telling and strange, dark things, things that happened 3 times before death arrived. Necromancer called it a fatal triad. I believe it happened to me, Leon whispered. Why? I asked. He continued. That night, as I read, I heard the sound, so soft. From beyond the wall. Tap, tap, tap. It was her. It had to be. She was answering my signal. He rushed to the wall and tapped again. Tap, 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 tap. But then, only silence. He waited for hours. Days passed. He looked for her every time he left the apartment. But he never saw her again. I tried to forget, he said. One night, I went to bed early. I was very tired. In the middle of the night, he woke up suddenly. He heard it again. A gentle tapping, from the wall beside his bed. Tap, tap, tap. He sat up. He almost answered. But then he hesitated. She didn't answer me the last time, he said. So I didn't reply either. He drank a little wine and went quiet for a moment. I lay there, listening, but I didn't tap back. At some point, I must have fallen asleep. The next morning, he woke up feeling tired. He went out for fresh air. The landlady was standing outside his door. Oh, Monsieur Leon, she said, have you heard the terrible news? Leon felt his heart race. What news? He asked. My poor niece, she had been sick for a week. The landlady looked at me and said, Didn't you know? I saw you watching her. Didn't you know she was ill? Leon paused. I was shocked, he said. I didn't know what to say. Yes, I had watched her, thought of her constantly. But I had never spoken to her. My mind was always full of books, and of her. I asked Anne, how is your niece now? The landlady lowered her eyes. I'm sorry, sir, she said quietly. She was very sick last night. I cared for her myself. She had only one wish, she asked us to move her bed. She wanted it to be beside the wall next to your room. That made her feel peaceful, the landlady added. She touched the wall, and smiled. A few hours later, she passed away. Leon's face went pale. There were tears in his eyes as he continued. When I heard that, I nearly died myself, he whispered. I didn't speak to her, but I sent my feelings through the wall. She answered my silent message. I hadn't used words, but I used my thoughts. My knowledge. My magic. Leon was quiet for a long moment. Then he continued. A few days later, I received word that my father had died, he said. I left the apartment on Montaigne Hill, and moved into this house. His house. And I've stayed here in this tower ever since, for 10 years. I've been waiting for a visitor. I didn't know it would be you. But I wasn't surprised. In the book by Necromancer, it's written, all signs come in threes. You've now heard my full story. You must decide for yourself. Did this happen because of the fatal triad? I heard the first tapping, and I searched for her. I heard the second, and I didn't reply. Now tonight, you heard the third. The fatal triad is complete. I stood up and gently shook Leon's hand. He knew I understood his sorrow. He smiled softly. I said good night. There was nothing more to say. The next morning, a servant came to find me. He brought news. My friend, Leon Marchand, had passed away in the night. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more real-life inspired tales, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to English Audio Club, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. Your support means the world, and I'll see you in the next one.